The Bear is based around a 16-year-old boy who has a love for hunting and is taught about hunting from his friend Sam. Sam and him decided that one day they wanted to do the biggest catch of all, finding the Old Ben. Old Ben was the bear that everyone wanted to catch but no one could ever find. He lived deep in the forest and it was everybody's hunting prize if you could catch him. If you caught him, the glory and fame would forever be acknowledged by everyone. When coming to the decision to find Old Ben and hunt him down, Ike, the main character who is the narrator of the story, decided that he was going to face his fears and find the bear and hunt him down to make Sam happy and glorified by the idea of finding him. One day, Sam and Ike decided that they needed an animal to help them catch the bear. They found this dog eating livestock. They captured him and starved him. They asked Boone, a friend of theirs, to take care of Lion, and they decided that they would go out with Lion the next day. The first trial of finding Old Ben was a fail. The second time they went out, they fell upon Old Ben, and Lion grabbed onto his neck and tried killing him. Boone was upset that the bear was tearing Lion apart. Boone jumped on the bear's back and stabbed him to death. Sam died of a heart attack, and Lion and him were buried together. Years later, when Ike turned 21, he got told of his family inheritance. He inherited land, and he revised over it and realized that he disagreed with many of it because it was not of his beliefs. Ike found a new love for nature, so his perspective changed. When Ike found out about his family inheritance, he found out that his grandfather was a slave owner, and he believed that the land just belonged to him. He impregnated a slave girl and drove the mother of the daughter insane and had to commit suicide, and Ike did not believe that this was right. Ike decided to give up all this money and land and gave it to his cousins. He decided he did not want to live this lifestyle that his grandfather had given him. His wife was sincerely upset, but she understood because Ike believed in what he wanted to believe, and he was not going to go against his own beliefs just because of the land. The Native Americans believed that no land could be owned. It was communal property and that anyone could step foot and have part of it. Ike completely agreed with this understanding and felt that he should not be able to own land because it's for everyone to share. So he believed what Native Americans believed. During the story of the White Heron, there is a girl named Sylvia, and she lived in a manufactured city. She did not feel as though she belonged and did not feel as she was home. She did not have many friends, and she was very hard at communicating with other people and just felt uncomfortable with it. Sylvia's grandmother, Mrs. Millie, decided to call upon her family and ask Sylvia to come live in the countryside with her. She needed much help taking care of her cow, and she was very generous and really was kind and wanted Sylvia to feel as she belonged in a place. Sylvia was a 9-year-old girl when she moved to the countryside. She just had a huge spirit and fell absolutely in love with the countryside. She felt as though she belonged and she could have peace wherever she belonged. She just felt as in companionship with nature and didn't want to go back. The countryside she lived on was absolutely beautiful. She had nature all around her and she had no care in the world. She could hear the birds singing above her, and she just felt in peace. She fell in love with nature immediately when she moved out there, and there was no place she'd rather be than there. Sylvia had one job every single night, was to bring back the cow that liked to wander. The cow always loved to run away from Sylvia and cause stress upon her. She loved to make Sylvia look and wander all around for her. This caused Sylvia to get herself into a predicament. Sylvia was frightened by a man who had a gun over his shoulder. He was a hunter. She had not seen one of these before. He came up to her and approached her and asked if he could have a place to stay because he was lost. She, of course, brought him back to her house because her grandma most definitely would let him stay. Her grandmother had so much hospitality and offered him a bed, some milk, and some food. Then one night, the hunter started talking to Sylvia about this white heron that he longed to find because it was his prized possession and would love to stuff her and keep her in his house. Sylvia just kept on thinking about the white heron. She had seen the white heron before in the lakes and all around the world. She just did not know what to do, if she should tell him or not. So she started thinking and started wandering out of the house late that night to go see if she could go find the bird. She remembered seeing the white heron around the big oak tree. She decided to climb the oak tree. She struggled for a bit but got to the very top. She comes in contact with the white heron but finds this internal peace, and she cannot help but stay silent. She hears her grandmother calling for her, and the hunter starts looking. The hunter finds her and asks her, "Did you find the white heron?" Her mind was telling her to tell him because of the little crush she had, but her heart told her to keep the secret so no one knew where the whereabouts were. Between all these stories, the two at the very end have this internal peace with nature. They find a love and they have no hate towards it. They cannot go against nature, but they're only for nature. They do anything and everything to love nature to its absolute fullest.